wanted to do this documentary so people wouldn't have to always stare and take pictures, because we don't like when they take pictures, so they just knew who we are and stuff. Summer, we'd like to go to the beach. We have to work a lot and swim and shop and hang out with friends.
The FBI claims these conjoined twins went way too far this time, and the consequences could change everything. They've managed to survive countless surgeries, media scrutiny, and the impossible balancing act of two people sharing one heart, one set of lungs. Tune in to see why the FBI had to step in and the truth they uncovered that will leave you speechless. The health crisis threatening Abby and Brittany Hensel. Their story started back in 1990 when they were born as dicephalic parapagus twins. That's science talk for two heads sharing one body. Abby's in charge of the right side, Brittany takes care of the left, and every single thing they do is a balancing act. Imagine driving. One of them works the pedals and shifter, while the other takes care of the signals. They're literally the ultimate team. But they've also got some major shared organs like their liver and reproductive system. Any health scare is, well, double trouble. And right now, they're in some trouble. Their situation is more serious than ever, and what happens next could change the future they fought so hard to build together. They were raised in a small Minnesota town. They had to figure out how to do all the normal things, like crawling, walking, and even clapping, with each of them controlling just half of their body. One would take the right arm, the other the left leg, and somehow, through years of practice, and probably a lot of falling over, they managed to nail it. They learned to swim, ride bikes, and even play volleyball. It's never been about the money for them. They've got so many other things to worry about, like keeping their shared body healthy, and that's becoming harder and harder every day. They're getting older, and with age, all the old surgeries and health issues are coming back to haunt them. They're tired, and even the strong faces they've put on for years are starting to falter. You can't talk about them without talking about how they've handled being, well, different. From the start, their parents did everything they could to make sure the world saw them as two individuals, not a curiosity. They dressed them in different clothes, even if it was just a different color, to make sure people knew there were two separate people living in that body. One likes math, the other loves art. One goes for simple outfits, the other loves the frilly stuff. They're different, even if their body doesn't let them express that individuality all the time. They've had to face what independence means when you literally cannot be alone. Every choice they make is a compromise. What to eat, what to wear, where to go, it's all up for discussion. And sometimes things are tense. They fight like any sisters do, but there's no storming off or taking a break. They have to face everything, together, all the time. That's a level of pressure most of us couldn't even imagine, and yet they keep going. They want to have lives too. They're not interested in being some sort of inspiration just for existing. They want to have fun, go out with friends, and do normal things. But again, nothing is simple. A day out with friends means figuring out compromises. Does one want to go see a movie while the other wants to grab food? They've got to decide, and quickly, because every outing is more complicated than it looks. Not to mention, they've got to deal with people staring, no matter where they go. They've accepted that people are curious, but it doesn't make it any less draining to be constantly on display. Their entire life has been about finding balance, finding a way to be two people with one body. They have dreams just like anyone else. They want to keep teaching, maybe even go back to school for further degrees. They've already defied expectations by driving, playing sports, and graduating college. They've learned to do all these things that most people never thought possible for them. But the toll on their shared body is becoming evident. What worked when they were teenagers isn't working as well anymore. It's easy to say that they're extraordinary, because they are. They've accomplished so much, not because they set out to prove something to the world, but because they had no other choice. Their lives have been about figuring out how to exist in a world that wasn't made for them, and they've done that in a way that's earned them a lot of respect. But now, they're facing something that's more complicated than anything they've been through before, and no one knows how it'll end. Whether they like it or not, they are an inspiration. Not because they're superheroes or anything, but because they're just doing their best. They're facing their toughest challenge yet, and they're still showing up every day. Still teaching, still living, still trying. And that's something that most people, regardless of how many heads or bodies they have, would be hard-pressed to do. So, what happens next? That's anyone's guess. But if history is any indicator, they are going to keep doing what they've always done, figuring it out, together, one step at a time. Their next challenge isn't just about health, it's about facing a future they can't imagine apart. The fear of losing each other. The thought of being separated is terrifying for both of them. They've spent their entire lives together, and the idea of being apart is almost unimaginable. They've always been there for each other, through every challenge, every triumph, every heartbreak. They've shared every experience, and they've supported each other through it all. The thought of losing that connection is heartbreaking. But at the same time, they know that they have to consider what's best for their future. They want to keep living, to keep teaching, to keep making a difference. They've always been fighters, and they're not ready to give up now. They're looking at all their options, weighing the risks, and trying to figure out what the best path forward is. As they face this new chapter in their lives, Abby and Brittany are doing what they've always done, facing the unknown with courage and determination. They're still teaching, still living, still trying to make the most of every day. And no matter what happens, they'll keep moving forward, together, one step at a time. The road ahead isn't going to be easy. There are going to be tough decisions, moments of doubt, and challenges that seem impossible. But if there's one thing Abby and Brittany have shown the world, it's that they don't back down from a challenge. They've faced the impossible before, and they've come out stronger on the other side. And whatever happens next, they'll face it the same way they faced everything else. Together. There are still dreams to chase, still goals to achieve, and still a life to live. Abby and Brittany may be facing their biggest challenge yet, but they're not facing it alone. They have each other, and that's something that no health crisis, no surgery, no obstacle can ever take away. Their bond is unbreakable, and that's what will keep them going, no matter what the future holds. The case of Abby and Brittany Hensel really makes you wonder how far curiosity, or honestly, obsession, with someone's life can go. Born in Minnesota on March 7, 1990, these twins are quite literally joined at the hip. Conjoined, to be exact. They've got two heads on one body, which means they have to work together to get through everyday tasks, something most people can't even handle in a group project. And the FBI, for whatever reason, seems to think they went too far on this one. Well, let's dig into why. You might remember Abby and Brittany from various media appearances over the years. From talk shows to reality TV, they became famous for simply being themselves, two people who have to navigate the world while sharing one body. And for a while, everyone was fascinated, like glued to the screen, fascinated. There were countless interviews, specials, and documentaries following them around as they did regular stuff, learning to walk, drive a car, go to school. It was like people just couldn't get enough of watching how they pulled it off. The twins share all the crucial systems, circulatory, digestive, reproductive, but each of them has their own heart, lungs, and spine. It means their lives have always been about serious teamwork. Imagine trying to ride a bike where each leg you see pedaling belongs to a different person. You think regular siblings argue? Now imagine that, but your arms and legs are actually connected. And honestly, they handle it with an impressive amount of grace, probably more than most of us would. The fascination turned into something else, and maybe not for the better. People love to watch these twins succeed, sure, but the focus often landed on the how rather than the who. The media built them up as symbols of resilience, always overcoming adversity and inspiring us all. But here's the thing, Abby and Brittany are people, not a motivational poster. Abby is practical, logical, and likes math. Brittany, on the other hand, is into art and music, and she has a more laid-back personality. Yet the headlines rarely took time to show that. It was always these incredible conjoined twins, like they were just one person, as if they didn't each have their own dreams and preferences. Every detail of their lives, things most of us would keep private, was out there for the world to see. The twins even had to deal with speculation about their love lives, which, let's be real, is kind of gross. It's like people thought that just because they shared a body, they didn't deserve any boundaries. If you think about it, it's a lot of pressure to live up to. They had to smile, keep moving forward, and prove how inspiring they were, even if that wasn't the kind of attention they wanted. They graduated from college and went on to become teachers. Again, the cameras were there, documenting it all. The story was always the same, how amazing it was that they could do this in their condition. But for them, it wasn't about proving anything to the public. It was about doing something they wanted to do, just like anyone else. They're good teachers because they work hard at it, not just because they're defying the odds. But somehow that last part always seemed to overshadow everything else. People would stare, they'd ask inappropriate questions, and the media would just keep coming back for more. It's like their condition, their physical form, was all anyone could see. Never mind that they have hopes, dreams, and bad days like everybody else. The more they showed their lives, the more the world seemed to reduce them to just one thing: an unusual body. They were symbols of resilience, of overcoming, yet the media's portrayal objectified them, turning them into a spectacle, rather than two people living complex individual lives. Think about what it means to have every moment of your life scrutinized, to always have to be the strong ones, showing off how much you can achieve despite a situation that most people can't even imagine. They had to deal with that their entire lives, being asked to constantly perform and impress. They couldn't afford to show weakness because that wasn't part of the narrative the media wanted to tell. Vulnerability was not an option. Beyond survival, Abby and Brittany's fight is about being seen as two individuals, not just one. Abby and Brittany struggled to be seen as real people. They couldn't go out without being stared at or questioned. The coverage often overstepped, delving into their personal health, relationships, and weirdly enough, speculation on whether they'd ever date. It was like nobody thought they deserved personal space or dignity. Everything was up for discussion. When people talk about inspiring others, there's often a cost that doesn't get acknowledged. When they started teaching, the headlines all talked about how incredible it was. The conjoined twins become teachers' story spread like wildfire. But to them, it was just their job, their passion. They weren't in it to be the next viral sensation, but because they genuinely love what they do. The students respect them for being good teachers, not because of the condition they were born with. But as usual, the media painted it as something sensational, as if their ability to lead a classroom was a magical feat rather than a result of their hard work and dedication. The public fascination with the twins exposes a broader issue: how people with disabilities or unique conditions are often portrayed. There's a difference between being inspired by someone's strength and reducing them to a symbol of it. They have experienced that firsthand. The world watches, cheers, and calls them heroes, but often forgets they are also people with their own identities, quirks, and desires. People love to put them in a box, the conjoined twins who overcame everything. But what if they don't always feel like overcoming, or don't feel like being inspirational on a given day? Their lives challenge us to think about how we view difference and resilience. Their journey is extraordinary, but not because of how they were born. What's truly remarkable is their ability to keep living their lives to the fullest despite the constant scrutiny and lack of privacy. They're people who deserve to be respected, not just as the conjoined twins, but as two individuals, each with a lot more to offer than just the uniqueness of their bodies. If we're talking about how the Hensel twins went too far, maybe it's not them at all. Maybe it's the public, the media, the endless fascination that just couldn't let them live, that always needed them to be more, do more, inspire more, even when they just wanted to be regular people. The next time we see someone different and think about how inspiring they are, maybe we should take a step back. Let's admire their achievements for what they are, not for how they fit into our idea of overcoming adversity. And maybe, just maybe, let them have a bit of privacy too. They will keep living life as they always have, with determination, humor, and the kind of bond that only twins like them could have. They'll continue to teach, to inspire, but also to remind everyone that they're more than just a curiosity. They're two individuals, full of life and deserving of respect. Not for the body they share, but for the people they are. They challenge what it means to live a normal life. They challenge society's obsession with the unusual, and they challenge how we talk about disability and resilience. We often see headlines calling them miracles or inspirations, but that language always tends to ignore the depth of who they are. Their life is full of everyday challenges, laughter, arguments, and ambitions, just like anyone else's. The difference is that their every move has been under the watchful eye of millions since they were children. People often ask how they do it, but perhaps the better question is, why are we so fascinated by it? We can't seem to look away, whether it's curiosity, admiration, or even just the allure of something different. There's this natural human urge to look at the other, but it's also important to recognize when our fascination crosses into objectification. They are not entertainment, they're people. They've got dreams, frustrations, and favorite hobbies. They've mentioned wanting to travel, and they've got career goals. It's vital we see them as more than just an incredible body. They are two minds, two souls, each with a voice. They went to college at Bethel University, a huge milestone not just for them, but for anyone. And what did they major in? Education. They knew early on they wanted to teach. Why? Because they love working with children and they genuinely enjoy helping others learn. They went through the same classes, wrote the same papers, took the same tests as every other student, and they did it all while managing to live their own complex lives. And yet even then, the headlines kept focusing on how remarkable it was that they managed to attend college at all. For them, it wasn't about proving anyone wrong, it was simply about getting an education and pursuing their passion. The twins are constantly adjusting, finding new ways to adapt their teaching methods to ensure both of them are equally engaged. They're professionals, but the physical reality of their lives means they need to approach teaching differently. They share control of a body, but in the classroom, they are two distinct educators. They work seamlessly. When one speaks, the other listens, or they both contribute together. Their dynamic is something no other teacher can replicate, and that makes their classroom a unique environment for students. And yet, despite how well they do their job, the public can't seem to see past the fact that they're conjoined. Their teaching skills, their dedication, the hard work they put into their lesson plans, all of that gets overshadowed by their condition. Do we celebrate their strength, or are we just obsessed with difference? Let me know what you think in the comments. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more stories.